Psychic vampires are hard to love. Cathar Love 173. Psychic vampires are hard to love. What is a psychic vampire? Well, I'd never heard the phrase until a friend of mine, Therese, quite some years ago, and she said to me, "Oh, tomorrow I'm off to see Marie for lunch, but I'm not looking forward to it." I said, "Oh, why is that?" She said, "She's a psychic vampire." I said, "What's a psychic vampire?" And she said, well, the way she explained it was that this particular person, whom she felt sorry for, because this person had no friends, and so every month or two, Therese would spend some time with her. But she said her problem is that she's, in every aspect of life, whatever she talks about, she just looks at it from a negative point of view. She's a totally negative person. I said, "Well, then why do you continue to see her?" She said, I just feel sorry for her," she said, "because she has no friends." I said, "Well, with that attitude, you're not likely to have too many friends anyway." And anyway, Therese is a really lovely lady, and she probably just still today is her friend. Well, I think once we've got a few years behind us, all of us have met those people that are just totally negative. But a psychic vampire is not just a person who's totally negative. It's a person, because we meet people. We meet people whose situation makes us, we feel sorry for them. We sympathise with that person. We empathise with that person. We empathise with that person's situation. But the psychic vampire feeds upon our sympathy, feeds upon our empathy, feeds upon our feelings of feeling sorry for that person. And it can be very effective in a negative way. We have this, and why this actually has come about to a degree is in where I live, there's a guy who has a unit, and I met him more than 6 months ago, but I just ran into him, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? Are you settling in okay?" He said, "Oh yes." He said, "No, everything's fine." He said, but he said, he said, "I'm an alcoholic." I said, "Oh, okay. And he said, and not only that, he said, "I have gastritis." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "You know what it is?" I said, "Yeah, it's a tummy problem." He said, "Yes." He said, "It's really bad." He said, "I could have died twice." Oh, he said, and in fact, he said, "I can get an attack and die tomorrow." I said, "Oh, really?" And I walked away, and I never thought about it, but later I thought, wow, I've only just met the guy. I know he's an alcoholic, and I know he's got gastritis, and he could die. He nearly died a few times, and he could die any time. And so I thought, oh, dear, So this guy's already laying out the parameters. He's laying out the carpet whereupon how you view him. And I just felt a bit sorry for him. That's the situation. These people feed upon you feeling sorry for them. Anyway, last week, the same guy, and he's been pretty good, but he suddenly decided that he just started to drink and bottle of wine after bottle of wine. But the thing was, he had literally 7 women in that week come up and do things for him. He had 2 nurses arrived. He had 2 women who were some form of caring, they're carers, and they cleaned up his place, and cleaned up all his mess, and a bookshelf arrived, all the books on his floor. He went up onto his shelf. His mother arrived, and she came from interstate, and she left him with some money, which he promptly rang up a taxi driver and told the taxi driver to get him wine, and which the taxi driver did, and paid for it. He had to get a taxi because to get it for him, because no bottle shop, no hotel, no alcoholic, no place selling alcohol will serve it to him. They know him, and they're trying to do it for his own good as well. But anyway, so there's them, and then there's another lady. Another couple of women that he contacts, and I spoke to one woman, and I said, "You know he's an alcoholic." She said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Do you give him any wine?" "Oh," she said, "I just give him a bottle occasionally." She said, "Because he's a recovering alcoholic, and he can't just come off it. He's got to come off it slowly." I said, "But yeah, he's got the. Oh, you're just giving him bullets, but it's a slow death. It's not fast. You are not helping the situation at all. He needs to dry out and try and get some semblance of normality and function normally." Anyway, but this guy, he's got these 7 women, and he feeds on their sympathy for him. He feeds on their empathy for them. I said to a friend of mine, I said, "It'll be the day when you can get 7 women running around looking after you." So what's this got to do with this psychic vampires and people of negativity? What's that got to do with Catharism? Well, it's simply this, that these type of people, they're really hard to like, let alone love. And with Catharism, we talk about universal love, unconditional love. And it isn't easy when you have people like this. Looking at it, though, from a Cathar point of view, we would say we have a good God who loves us unconditionally, which means a number of things. 1, tain't no day of judgment. 2, tain't no hell. There's no hell. And this is the Cathar viewpoint. What we have is successive lifetimes. We're created, and we're like a child. We go out into the world, and after successive lifetimes, we build up a whole range of life experiences, and hopefully we're evolving, evolving towards our higher consciousness over these lifetimes. So when we look at that person, it's, we're people in the world today, we know are pretty nasty types. And how do you go about loving these people? But and it's impossible to do so if you look at it from one lifetime. But if you realise that this is only one of many lifetimes that this person is going through, his previous lifetime was different, and his next lifetime is going to be very different again. And especially karma, because a person who's a nasty person, they're literally organising more and more bad karma for themselves. Karma is simply, you do something good, caring, kind, you do an action that is good, and you are building up good karma. You do something that is nasty and negative and hurting people, and you're building up bad karma for yourself. The good karma, you receive the reward, and the bad karma, well, you'll have to do something about balancing out that karma, or doing works that will cancel out that karma. So if we look at people that way, we're not just looking at that person as that person is today. You're looking at that person as, well, they could change in this lifetime, but who knows what could happen in their lifetimes. So if you start to look at it from an overall perspective, which is coming in, one, from a good God that is not going to cast you into hell, and to the Cathar, you cannot sin against God. You cannot sin against the source. It doesn't even make sense. If that's your creator, and he's gone to the trouble. Well, I won't say it's any trouble, but anyway, you've been created by the source. Why would the source create anything that would offend him? Anyway, doesn't he? So therefore, if the Cathar God is a good God of unconditional love. Now, this is where Catharism diverges, is quite different to the major faiths, that is Christianity, Islam and Judaism, because they all have that if you'll be punished in the fires of hell. So the Cathar God is a God of unconditional love. The deity of these is the love, well, love enough to let you go to heaven, or lack of love to cast you into the hellfires, to the fire of hell for eternity. That means that God's love is conditional upon you carrying out these commandments, conditions, doctrines, or whatever rules that they have, and each religion has their own set. So there's a difference, and it's a startling difference. But if you look at people that are around us, who are very negative in the way, in the manner in which they conduct their lives, or you run into a psychic vampire who sucks when you meet them, and you walk away, as if your lifeblood has been sucked from you, because actually, look, if we meet somebody, in fact, we can even judge our relationship. If we're in contact with somebody, we meet somebody, we have lunch with somebody, we talk to somebody, we meet somebody in the street, no matter what it is, when you walk away from that person, or that person walking away from you, do they feel better for that encounter, for that meeting, or do they feel worse? Oh my God, I've been talking to that guy for 5 minutes and already I'm depressed. Or you've been talking to that person, you walk away and think, feel a bit better about yourself, better about the world. Oh gee, it was nice to meet Joe or Mary or Therese, whoever it happens to be. You feel better for the meeting. So the situation with me and this person who lives in the unit, and I was reflecting on it, and I thought, that's amazing. This guy, he's not a big guy, and you do, his very appearance, you go, you feel a bit sorry for the guy, and then you hear all this negativity and all the rest of it that's going on. But the plain fact is, he has 7 women running around, looking after him, doing this and doing that, and doing this and doing that. But the fact is, he's feeding on their goodwill. He's feeding on their sympathy for him, the empathy for him, because they know he's in such a his condition isn't great, but he's amplifying it, and he's using that to get these people to run around and well, basically do his bidding. One final thought, and that is this: the comment was made by a Cathar philosopher that there's not a great deal of difference between religion and alcoholism. That is, to be a fanatical about one's religion and being an alcoholic. Because with most, and the reason for that statement was that often people who are in a religious situation, an event will happen or a situation will crop up, and they go, it's God's will. It's the will of God. In actual fact, it was some person's will that was doing it, and by saying it's God's will, it's absolving you from taking possibly taking responsibility and physically and actually actively doing something about it. With alcohol, you say, oh, it's the grog, it's the alcohol, what's done it. Normally I'm a pretty decent person, but I'm not too good when I'm drunk. So you're blaming it on the alcohol. In both cases, there are people who use religion and alcohol as excuses for a situation when in actual fact they should be taking some responsibility and acting upon that situation to make change. It's an interesting thought. Bye for now. Talk again soon.